I stand before you today to apologize. The system has failed you. I have failed you. I have failed to help you share your talent with the world when the world needs talent more than ever, yet it's being wasted every day by an educational system steeped in tradition and old ideas. Well, it's time for a new tradition. It's time to realize talent isn't just in schools like this one. It's everywhere. It's time to use technology to rewrite the rules of education. To learn how you learn so we can teach you better. It's time a university adapted to you rather than you adapting to it. It's time for a different kind of university. It's your time.
This podcast has been created to inform about the importance of podcasting in education and its future implications at Indiana University School of Dentistry. Through this presentation, you will learn what podcasting is and how it is used. I will go over the benefits for both students and the instructors, and then finish with an explanation of the podcasting and the security that comes with it. What is podcasting? Podcasting is video and/or audio that can be viewed on a variety of media devices and be securely distributed through a podcatcher such as iTunes. The way that IUSD intends to use this technology is to combine the audio with a recording of the synchronized PowerPoints and combine the two into a podcast. The resulting podcast is no longer a regular video because as they are recorded, they are chapter marked. This allows a student to jump forward and backward through the presentation to hear the content they wish to understand better. The podcast can then be viewed on many different secure media devices, such as your computer, your phone, and your iPod. You can even listen to just the audio on a screenless device like the iPod Shuffle, and this is all with the same file. Other content can also be included with the podcast, such as PDFs. The PDF can then be viewed just like a podcast. The media is essentially pushed to the viewer and essentially guarantees delivery. What are the benefits of podcasting? Let's start with how students will benefit. Podcasting allows for active learning because you are reassured that if you do miss something, you can always go back to review what was said at a later time. Also, students finally don't have to worry about writing down exactly what an instructor is saying and can instead interact with the class. There's no better resource than having all of your professors on demand whenever you need them. Now let's go over the instructor's benefits. Podcasting can be used for preloading class information. This can even be done with previous year's podcasts. Imagine a class that actually understands all of the acronyms they will be learning when they get to class. By placing these terms in a podcast, this allows for better question asking during class and a better understanding of the subject being taught. Podcasting also allows for a better self-assessment. An instructor will be able to look at previous year's podcasts and add new content and correct old content and understand which concepts are commonly misunderstood so they can be explained in a greater detail to future classes. The question on everyone's mind is, how secure is podcasting? The answer is very secure. First, Indiana University already has copyright protection defined, and specifically for podcasting and its distribution. The Stanford Center for Internet and Society with Harvard Law School has gone into detail as well. Both of these papers will be distributed as PDFs with this podcast. Because of the form in which podcasts are distributed, both the content within the presentation and the synchronized audio cannot be modified. This makes podcasting much more secure than the standalone PowerPoint, and the podcast will also be protected by being located on our local intranet. How will it be done? Let me show you. Start by opening Snapcast. This is our podcast creator. We'll then open our PowerPoint with this podcast. PowerPoint loads in the exact same manner, but Snapcast is now recording your audio and syncing it with the PowerPoint progression. The audio is recorded through the microphone that you are already wearing, and the clicks correspond to how you're going forward and backward throughout the presentation. You can see here that Snapcast is actually over this presentation because this is a demo version of the software. You even have little tools at the top of the screen to actually make annotations that will also be recorded on your presentations. And here you can see going forward and backward in the presentation, just as you normally would. After you're finished with the lecture, the file will be saved. The next part of this process can be done either by an elected student, as they do at the University of Michigan, or by the lecturer themselves, whichever is preferred. The file is then converted to a podcast format and dragged to a folder that has been created by the IT department. It is basically a wormhole to your designated on-course folder for the podcasts of that lecture. There will be different folders for each lecture you give, and they will be labeled so there is no confusion. After that step, the work of the student or lecturer is finished because everything else is automated. You can see here that we've already uploaded this file to OnCourse, and you can see that it's already ready to go and be podcasted. At the beginning of the year, a student can subscribe to all of their classes' podcasts. Once this is completed, they will open their podcatcher program. I will be using iTunes because the podcast is distributed through iTunes U. iTunes is a free program to download. You can see here, all of these podcasts are already located on there under the podcasting section at iTunes. There are multiple podcasts containing the podcasts and PDF documents that the instructor has meant for the student to receive. There is no chance of error downloading this content because the student receives what the professor gives them at the time they need it. Many other schools are already using this same technology to their advantage. The University of Michigan, USC, and Duke Medical School are examples of these. Duke actually gives iPod Touches to all incoming med students because all classes are podcasted, and there are other programs like Hippocrates that are made for this device. Wrapping up, what does podcasting do for IUSD? It allows students bragging rights to potential IUSD students, making our school more appealing in an increasingly competitive environment for the best students. There's nothing more powerful than a word-of-mouth campaign. It took 2 generations of generals after the invention of the musket to change from infantry formations designed for pikes and bows. Let's not be those generals. Technology is moving at a rapid pace. By using podcasting, we will open dentistry's eyes to new technology. This will increase the learning opportunity of IUSD students, and as a result, continue to set the standard of the dental professionals of tomorrow. Thank you for this opportunity and your attention.